He just killed a monster the size of a building with his bare hands. Now he's tied to a chair while a bloated crime lord bites his ear. His eyes are burning with zombie blood. Something inside him is changing, and the question tearing through his mind right now, should he let it? The notification blinked on his screen like any other system message. Wangbin almost ignored it. He had been parked in front of his computer for hours, energy drink half finished, headset around his neck, leaderboard ranking sitting comfortably at the top. The system message told him he had completed some kind of test faster than anyone else, collected more resources, set a record nobody asked him to set. His reward? A personal invitation to somewhere called the apocalyptic world. The catch? If he died there, he was never coming back. Most people would close the window. Wangbin leaned forward, read it twice, then pressed yes. That tells you everything you need to know about him. He is not reckless. That is the important part. He is calculated. In the 10 seconds before he pressed that button, he had already worked out the math. Survive, and he can move freely between two worlds. One world where food is everywhere. Another where food is worth more than diamonds. His brain does not skip steps. It runs them 3 at a time. But first, he needed supplies. He opened his wallet. Empty. Last week's date with Jiao Qian had cleaned him out completely. She is the kind of beautiful that makes a man spend money he does not have, and Wangbin, loyal to the bone, never once complained about it. He called his 2 friends, Hong Fei and Li Ping, without hesitation. They handed over the cash without asking too many questions. They did ask him, very sincerely, to stop spending everything on one girl. He thanked them warmly and immediately ignored their advice. For hours. That is all the time the system gave him to prepare 7 days' worth of supplies. He moved fast, bought smart, and was ready with minutes to spare. Meanwhile, Jiao was in a car with another man. When Wangbin called, she looked at his name on the screen, then looked at the man beside her, and said it was nothing important. She cut the call. Wangbin stood on the pavement, confused. Then the ground split open beneath his feet. The apocalyptic world greeted him with silence. Not peaceful silence. The wrong kind. The kind that means everything that makes noise is already dead or hiding. He pressed himself against a crumbling wall and activated his phone camera, angling it behind him like a periscope. Something was back there, moving, ducking out of sight. He did not panic. He filed it under either intelligent wanderer or desperate human, decided both were problems, and started running. He found a house, jumped through a broken window, caught his breath. Then someone walked in behind him, pressed a blade against his ribs, and demanded everything in his bag. She was starving. He could see in her arms, in the way her hands shook slightly even while holding the weapon. He kept his voice calm and offered to split his food. When she lunged, he blocked with his shovel. She kicked him across the room. He hit the wall hard enough to see white. She pressed the blade to his throat. He told her about the canned meat in his bag. Her mouth actually watered. He saw it happen in real time. He used a half-second to strike first. She hit the ground. He set food in front of her anyway, borrowed her blade, and walked outside. That was the moment Wangbin understood this world. Not from a book, not from a warning. From watching a girl too hungry to care about her own safety, who still had enough fight left in her to nearly kill him. He stepped into the street, and immediately 3 men blocked his path. They were big, angry. One of them lunged with a stick before anyone finished talking. Wangbin parried, took a hit, and thought fast. 3 against 1 stun gun was not good math. So he went for fear instead, slashed one man's arm, watched the blood hit the ground, watched all 3 of them freeze. The smell of blood in this world means one thing. Wanderers are coming. He ran while they were still yelling at each other about pressure and bandages. He sprinted to a dead end. They caught up anyway. And then, the girl from before dropped a brick on one of their heads from a rooftop. She came down fast, hit the boss with a flying kick that would have ended most fights. It did not end this one. The man was built like a wall. She found a weak point on his neck anyway. The fight was over in seconds. Wangbin stood completely still, watching her. It was the first time in his life he had seen a person kill another person. His hands were steady. His thoughts were not. The girl, Guan Xiao, grabbed his sleeve, and told him they had about 90 seconds before the blood attracted a horde. They ran. For the next hour, she dragged him through routes he never would have found, past traps she had set herself, through gaps in wanderer patrol patterns she had memorized over weeks of surviving alone. He kept up, barely. When it finally stopped, she put her blade to his neck again. He asked if they were not on the same side. She asked for his stun gun. He placed it on the floor. Then he pulled food from his bag, laid it out in front of her like a peace offering, and told her plainly, stay with him for 7 days, help him survive, and everything he could not eat himself was hers. Her eyes moved to the food. He pointed out, gently, that there was more than one person could possibly finish alone. She studied him for a long time. Then she said her name, Guan Xiao. He told her his. And just like that, a partnership began. Later, alone in the room she assigned him, Wang Bin pulled open a drawer and found jewelry. A necklace, rings, gold pieces that had been sitting untouched since the world ended. His eyes lit up. In her world, worthless. In his, a fortune. He was already smiling when he knocked on her door to ask about them. He walked in at exactly the wrong moment. She was changing. He backed out fast, face red, apology flying out of his mouth before he even turned around. She came out a minute later, completely unbothered, and told him to take whatever he wanted. Nobody in this world cared about jewelry anymore. She mentioned, while eating chips, that the whole neighborhood used to be wealthy. Most houses still had valuables just sitting there. She offered to show him around. What they found filled his bag, and then some. He estimated millions in his world. She shrugged like they had collected bottle caps. Then she mentioned the safe. It had been tried before. Never opened. She led him to it and walked off to check other rooms while he worked. He cracked it on his third attempt. Inside, gold bars, jewelry boxes, and the kind of haul that made his hands shake a little as he loaded everything that mattered. He left the cash, useless in his world, and took everything else. Back at the house, Guan Xiao watched him stare at the pile of useless things with genuine confusion. He explained he had a way to make them valuable, and in exchange, he would bring her food. Real food, the kind she had not tasted in years. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. Their deal was sealed. And Wang Bin, sitting in the wreckage of a destroyed world, surrounded by wanderers, running out of days, felt something he had not expected. He felt like things were finally going exactly right. But what comes next? Nobody could have predicted. 7 days passed in the apocalyptic world. 1 day in his. Wang Bin stepped out of the system's teleport into fresh air and sunlight and nearly cried with relief. He was back. He was alive. His bag was full of gold and jewelry worth more money than he had ever imagined in one place. First stop, a jewelry store. The receptionist looked at him like he had walked in selling fake watches. She called his gemstone a prop. She reached for the phone to report him. Her manager arrived before she could dial. The man held the gemstone up to the light. His expression changed completely. He walked Wang Bin to the VIP room himself, ordered tea, and sat across from him with the careful attention of someone who knows they're looking at something extraordinary. The number he offered first, 8 million. Wang Bin let his face fall with a disappointment he did not quite feel. The manager added 500,000 without blinking. Wang Bin sipped his tea, sighed like a man who needed the money, and agreed. Then he mentioned, very casually, that he had 9 more. The manager looked like someone had just told him Christmas came twice this year. Wang Bin sat in a taxi afterward and pulled up his bank account. 64 million. Yesterday, he had been borrowing money from friends. Today, he had 64 million in a single account. He looked out the taxi window at the city moving past. Ordinary, busy, everyone hurrying somewhere, and felt completely untethered from reality. He still had gold bars. He would sell those somewhere else. One store, too many valuables, too many questions. He told the driver to take him to the property sales office. He was going to buy Jiao a villa. He arrived to find her standing next to a man named Li. The man looked at Wang Bin's clothes, worn from the apocalyptic world, wrinkled from travel, and made a comment about construction workers. Jiao looked at Wang Bin like he was a stranger she had to deal with politely. Then she told him clearly and without apology, she was ending things. She had found someone who could actually take care of her. Someone willing to buy her a house. Wang Bin tried to reason with her. Li told him to stop pointing fingers, or he would cut them off. Wang Bin kicked Li so hard in the chest that the man stumbled backward into a display case. Jiao slapped Wang Bin across the face. She called him a disgusting beggar. She turned to check on Li without looking back. The truth settled into Wang Bin like ice water. The years they had spent together gone, traded for square footage and a man with a bigger wallet. He stood completely still for one long breath. Then he let it go. A sales manager appeared and tried to remove him. Her staff called him a disturbance. Security closed in. Wang Bin told them he had come to buy a villa. Laughter. Sneering. The cheapest unit started at 5 million. Who did he think he was? He told the sales director his budget was above 20 million. He wanted a villa. The room went quiet. When the director asked for proof, Wang Bin produced a gold bar. He struck Li across the face with it first, casually, the way someone might swat a fly. Then he showed his phone screen. 70 million in his account. The director ordered his staff and both security guards to kneel and crawl laps around the sales hall. They did it. The crowd photographed everything. Wang Bin bought a 30 million villa that afternoon. Not out of spite, he told himself. He needed a secure private base. That was all. He repeated this to himself several times on the drive home. That evening, he transferred 1 million each to Hong Fei and Li Ping. They called him immediately, both convinced it was a scam. He confirmed it was real. They went silent. When one of them finally asked how much he had won in the lottery, Wang Bin said, about 1 billion. Complete silence. Then both of them shouted at him at the same time about Li's people looking for him. Wang Bin changed the subject. He promised to treat them to dinner. He hung up. Later, he visited an older man named Xiao, a retired hunter. Over drinks, he explained he was looking for an air gun. Recreational use. Hunting small animals. Practice. Xiao believed him and handed over the air gun without accepting payment. He also gave Wang Bin a tranquilizer gun and a small bottle of solution strong enough to knock out a wild boar. He added, very seriously, that too much of it could kill a person. Wang Bin thanked him and left before dawn. He prepared everything for the return trip with the focus of someone running a logistics operation. Food for a month. A new phone. 10 fully charged power banks. Weapons. A new dagger, a machete. And detonators he borrowed from a construction contact. The system had explained it simply. 1 day in his world equals 7 days in the apocalyptic world. Guan Xiao had been alone for 7 days over there. The teleport landed him back in his old room. He stepped out to find Guan Xiao sitting in the hallway, staring at the last food packet she had left, tears running quietly down her face. She looked up. Her expression cracked open completely. She crossed the room and grabbed him like someone who had genuinely stopped believing he would come back. He hugged her back. When he looked at her arms and saw the cuts and bruises, something cold moved through his chest. He told her quietly that everyone who hurt her while he was gone was going to pay for it. He meant every word. He showed her the air gun. Her face transformed, sharp eyes, steady hands, already checking the weight and barrel alignment like she had been shooting since childhood. He told her it was hers. She looked up at him with an expression that made him immediately think about something else. He spread the food across the table. A month's worth. Her eyes went wide. She reached for something and started eating before she even sat down. He gave her the phone, the power banks. She stared at both for a long moment, then pressed her fingers over her eyes to stop herself from crying. He told her not to cry. She nodded. She was already crying. But what neither of them realized was how close danger already was. Their plan to destroy the 4 gangs started with a lie and a bag of detonators. Wang Bin explained it to Guan Xiao on the rooftop while she practiced with the air gun, punching neat holes through a large poster from 50 meters. His plan: make each gang believe the others are attacking them. Ignite distrust. Let their paranoia do the work. Then walk through the wreckage and take what he actually came for: gold. She asked how detonators fit in. He explained. The Grizzly Gang was the only one with actual explosives. If he could make the Tiger Head Gang think an explosion came from the Grizzly Gang, the two would destroy each other. Everyone else would follow. She called it clever. He called it efficient. Both of them were secretly very pleased with themselves. That night, they slipped into the Rainbow Elite Tower, the Tiger Head Gang's stronghold, through a window Guanxiao knew about from months of mapping the city. The first-floor guard was asleep in his chair. They stepped past him without breathing too loudly. On the fifth floor, two men were talking in the dark about food running out. Maybe a month left. Maybe less. One of them wondered if they could defeat the Grizzly Gang before starvation did the job instead. Wang Bin listened from a ceiling pipe above them. He and Guanxiao had climbed into the ventilation shaft while the men talked. Through a grate, he could see the storage room door, locked, heavy, important. He pointed at it. She pulled out a thin wire. 2 minutes later, the door was open. Inside, crates, rations, supplies the Tiger Head Gang had been hoarding for months. He told her to move fast. She set the detonators while he watched the hallway. Then the wanderers started coming through the window they had left open. Below, a guard woke up screaming. Gang members scrambled. Someone started shouting about a breach on the second floor. Upstairs, the blast went off. Boss, who burst out of his room, punched one of his own men in the face for waking him, and then stared at the smoking wreckage of his storage room. He looked at the detonator fragments. His jaw set like concrete. He declared, absolutely certain, that the Grizzly Gang had done this. Up in the ceiling pipe, Wang Bin and Guanxiao exchanged a look. Perfect. They slid out through the back while the building below them went into full chaos. She dropped down first, found the exit clear, then turned to see wanderers flooding in through a side door. She started shooting with the air gun. Fast, quiet, precise. A Tiger Head Gang member stepped out of shadow and recognized her. She shot him before he could raise his weapon. They fought their way out together, her with the air gun, him with the shovel, swinging with both hands. He realized somewhere between the third and fifth wanderer that fighting in real life felt completely different from every game he had ever played. Heavier, messier, more exhausting. He told her, between swings, that surviving this together made them comrades. She told him to watch his left. He ducked. Something large missed his head by a few centimeters. They picked up Meow next. She was a former police officer defending a small group, Chung Ping, her injured mentor, and several children, against a shark gang squad led by a man named Chen. When his men charged her building, Wang Bin and Guanxiao opened fire from a rooftop. Chen lost his gunners in 30 seconds. His gang scrambled into cover, totally confused about where the shots were coming from. Meow thought someone was on her side. She was right, but she did not know it yet. Wang Bin walked in through the front door with snacks. She pressed a gun to his head the moment he stepped inside. He set the bag down. A boy named Jian tore it open and found things he had never seen before. Meow's expression shifted slightly. Wang Bin explained his plan, not all of it, but enough. Take down all 4 gangs. Use the chaos they were already creating. Chung Ping said he would support whatever she decided. The children spoke last, and what they said made Meow's jaw tighten. They were tired of hiding. They wanted to fight back. Jian's parents had been killed by the Shark Gang. He was not asking for permission. He was announcing intent. Wang Bin put a hand on the boy's head and told him gently that a man apologizes when he speaks rudely to someone trying to protect him. Jian apologized. Meow looked at Wang Bin for a long time. Then she told everyone to pack up. They were moving. Elsewhere, the Tiger Head Gang and the Grizzly Gang had stopped waiting for excuses. They were at open war. Explosions. Gunfire. Heavy casualties on both sides. The Grizzly Gang had the firepower. The Tiger Head Gang had the desperation. Wang Bin watched the situation from his new base and timed their next move carefully. The Shark Gang and Eagle Gang needed to start fighting each other. He sent Guanxiao and Meow to snipe the Shark Gang's gunners while positioning himself above the Eagle Gang's stronghold with the rocket launcher. When the Shark Gang's boss arrived in a vehicle with a mounted machine gun and started giving the Eagle Gang an ultimatum, Wang Bin fired. The rocket hit the vehicle directly. The explosion knocked the boss out of the seat and sent his men scattering across the street. From above, the Eagle Gang's leader, Fei, watched his enemy flee. Over a loudspeaker, his voice carried across the ruins. Whoever helped them, he owed them a debt. If they ever needed the Eagle Gang, they would come. Wang Bin pocketed the launcher and thought. The board is almost set, but what happened next in Jin City would change everything. The Shark Gang's vault was in a bank building in the East District. Wang Bin knew it. What he did not know was what was living inside. They moved on the bank when the Shark Gang was stretched thin from the Eagle Gang battle. Miao knew the Eastern District well. She had once patrolled it. They reached the building fast, found minimal guards at the door. A man who worked there offered to lead them to the vault in exchange for his life. Wang Bin agreed. Miao walked behind him. Guan Xiao moved ahead to watch the corridor. The man led them forward, then broke into a run. They chased him around a corner and stopped. Wanderers had him. He was already gone, screaming once and then silent. Between Wang Bin and the vault door stood a wall of shambling dead, blocking the only path. Miao said they should retreat. Then she looked at Wang Bin's face and said nothing else. Guan Xiao said this was the moment. Miss it now, and it was gone forever. Wang Bin drew his weapons. All three of them charged. When the vault door finally swung open, Miao went quiet for a full 5 seconds. 46 tons of gold. She turned to Wang Bin and asked how they were supposed to move all of this. He told her they were not. A mysterious organization he worked with would handle transport. His job was just to locate the gold and transmit the coordinates. She studied him. He told her he knew it sounded strange. He told her to trust him. She thought about it. Then she said she had seen enough of how he operated to believe he was not the kind of person who lies to people he cares about. She would not push further. He sent both of them outside to keep watch. Alone in the vault, he spoke to his system quietly, telling it to begin the upgrade. In seconds, the gold bars vanished, pulled into the system's storage space, invisible, transported without a single physical movement. The lottery machine appeared in front of him, humming with possibility. He pulled the lever. He pulled it 30 times before he got what he wanted. Grenades, a night vision scope, a rocket launcher with 3 extra rockets, spicy snack packs, twice, which was both funny and annoying. A shooting skill book that sharpened his accuracy to a level Miao would not believe. And finally, the Mighty Warrior's Palm, a martial arts skill that hit like a freight train. The system told him simply that it would make him dramatically stronger in close combat. He did not need more explanation than that. He checked his remaining gold, stored what was left, and walked back out into the sunlight. He found Miao holding a can of cold cola with the expression of someone experiencing something sacred. Guan Xiao was watching her and trying not to laugh. The next morning, a knock on the door announced a man named Dong from the Black Tiger Gang. They had sent them. Their job, break one of Wang Bin's legs. They found him on an empty street. 7 men. One of him. He let Dong finish his introduction, then told them a location was not great for what they had in mind and suggested somewhere more private. Dong agreed, completely baffled by the calm. Around the corner, Wang Bin activated the Mighty Warrior's Palm. One palm strike sent a man airborne. 2 more men swung weapons, and he ducked both, took a cut on his back, kept moving. When Dong drew a blade, Wang Bin caught it barehanded, which made Dong's expression go completely blank with disbelief. And then Wang Bin kicked him between the legs. More men arrived. Too many for hand-to-hand. Wang Bin pulled out the pistol. He fired 1 shot into the air. The men stopped moving like someone had pressed pause. He told them anyone who was not afraid of dying was welcome to step forward. Dong tried to rally them. Wang Bin shot him in the leg. In the silence that followed, Dong dissolved into tears and offered an alliance. His entire crew agreed instantly. Wang Bin let them leave. He called Xing for a ride. That same evening, Wang Bin visited Master Jungu for the first time, except he did not know the man's name yet. He had just watched an elderly man dismantle 4 armed thugs without raising his heart rate, using nothing but Tai Chi and perfect timing. When one of them had grabbed the old man's hand, he simply could not move it, like his arm had forgotten how to exist. After the fight, the old man invited Wang Bin for tea. The old man already knew Wang Bin's skill level, 2nd level of the Mighty Warrior's Palm. He said so casually, the way you might comment on someone's shoes. Wang Bin asked to spar. He used 30% of his power for the first strike. The old man redirected it with 2 fingers and hit Wang Bin in the stomach hard enough to slide him 4 meters across the courtyard. Wang Bin stood up, adjusted his grip, and went full power. He did not land a single hit. When the tea was poured afterward, Wang Bin's face had 3 new bruises and a deep respect for the man sitting across from him. He asked to become his student. Jungu accepted. He explained that the mighty warrior's palm was a powerful art built entirely on strength, but strength alone cannot handle everything. Tai Chi would fill the gaps. The 2 skills together would make Wang Bin something different entirely. He also warned that if Wang Bin ever used this knowledge to harm innocent people, he would handle the consequences personally. Wang Bin looked at the old man's eyes and understood this was not a threat. It was a fact. He promised to earn what he was being taught. And somewhere in Jin City, the real enemy was already watching. Jin's town looked peaceful from the outside. Tall walls, organized entry, a currency system called Jin dollars that everyone used to buy food and housing. A woman at the gate handed Wang Bin and Miao a paper form and explained the rules calmly. No theft, no violence. Work hard, earn currency, exchange it for what you need. Wang Bin thought the man who built this was clever, efficient, maybe even capable. Then he walked inside and looked at the people. They were hollow, not metaphorically, literally. The residents moved through the streets like their bodies were just barely staying upright, rib cages visible, eyes distant. The greenhouse stood in the center of the town, guarded by armed men. Food was grown here, controlled completely, distributed in exactly measured portions designed to keep people working without giving them enough strength to resist. Miao saw it before he said anything. She just touched his arm. They both understood. This was not a settlement. This was a farm. A man near the job board introduced himself as a placement coordinator. He explained the system with the pride of someone who believed in it. Jobs paid between 6 and 10 Jin dollars. Rent cost 5 Jin dollars for 12 hours. Food was purchased separately. Everything precise. Everything controlled. He also mentioned, very casually, that newcomers who ran out of money sometimes slept in corners. And sometimes those newcomers lost limbs by morning. His voice did not change when he said this. Wang Bin filed it away cold. He asked about the highest paying position. The man said bodyguard, but looking at Wang Bin's build, suggested he might want something else. He looked at Miao and suggested she try the dancer position. Jin liked beautiful women. He threw parties for them. It came with benefits. Wang Bin said they were both applying for bodyguard. The man shrugged and agreed to arrange it. They found Dao the same day, through noise. 2 people were moving loudly down a hallway, and one of them was Dao carrying his unconscious sister, Xiao Lu, on his back. She was burning with fever, and he had just finished begging Jin for a doctor. Jin had offered 2 options: send the girl to stay with him, or Dao rejoins the expedition team. The suicide squad Jin sent in a monarch wanderer territory to retrieve gold. Dao had agreed to the expedition. Wang Bin followed him home and kicked the door open. He apologized for the door. Dao grabbed something sharp and demanded answers. Miao stepped around him, looked at the girl on the bed, and told Dao flatly that his sister's fever was past 40 degrees and he needed to decide right now whether he wanted help or not. He stepped aside. Miao worked fast, medicine, cool water, calm instruction. The fever dropped within minutes. Dao sat on the floor with his elbows on his knees, head down, breathing like someone who had been holding it for 3 days. When he finally looked up, Wang Bin gave him a cola. He handed it gently to his sleeping sister and smiled. She loved this. Dao told them everything. Jin's expedition teams were not rescue missions. They were bait operations. Unskilled residents were taken into monarch wanderer territory specifically to attract the creatures while trained mercenaries searched for gold nearby. The dead were brought back, mixed with wanderer meat, and served as the town's food supply. The hollow people in the streets were not starving despite the system. They were starving because of it, and eating the worst possible thing to survive. Wang Bin told Miao quietly to start cooking rice porridge for Xiao Lu. He told Dao, "Help us take Jin down, and clean food is yours from this day forward." Dao agreed without blinking. The next morning, Wang Bin and Dao joined the expedition team. Captain Li stood in front of the group and slapped a man for not paying attention. Dao stepped in. Wang Bin stepped in front of Dao. He apologized to the captain on behalf of everyone and told Dao softly, "Not yet." The city gate opened. They marched north. Meanwhile, Guan Xiao had already slipped inside through a separate route, wearing a dancer's outfit she had selected herself, along with Miao, much to Wang Bin's profound discomfort. She had Jiang, Jin's assistant, located and persuaded, mostly by pressing a knife to a very sensitive location, to guide her to the armory. The armory was full, but the real arsenal, Jiang said nervously, was somewhere more classified. She told him to take her there. He asked for a kiss in exchange. She said she only kissed one person. He said dying under these circumstances was still romantic. She agreed to the terms and reminded herself to never tell Wang Bin about this conversation. In the North District, the team reached the bank. The streets were quiet in the wrong way. Severed limbs scattered across the pavement, a smell that hit you before you could brace for it. The vault door was enormous. Wang Bin looked at it, looked at his rocket launcher, and told everyone to stand well back. The explosion shook the street. The door held. Everyone stared. Then slowly, from inside, the door began to open on its own. A wanderer stumbled out, terrified. Something dragged it back. Wang Bin already knew what Dao was about to say. Monarch Wanderer. He ran. He is not ashamed of this. When a monarch wanderer stepped out of that vault, 3 times the height of man, moving at a speed nothing that size had any right to move, running was the correct tactical decision. What he did not account for was Captain Li's men forming a perimeter outside. The gates were blocked. The monster was behind them. The other expedition members had weapons Wang Bin had distributed quietly earlier. They turned them on Li's men and opened fire. Chaos. In the confusion, Wang Bin sprinted back inside. The monarch wanderer caught him in the lobby. One strike across the chest, and the floor came up to meet him very fast. He lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling blood running somewhere it should not be running. The system tried to wake him up. He told it, not now. He was thinking, but there was no more time to think. The monster was already turning. He did not have much left. His inner strength was nearly gone from the earlier fights. His chest was bleeding, and the monarch wanderer could apparently not be harmed by bullets, rocket fire, or blunt trauma from a thrown automobile. Wang Bin cauterized the wound with a lighter. He screamed exactly once. Then he stood up. The system notified him of 60,000 kilograms of gold in the vault. It said, "Upgrade available." He said, "Do it. Now." The system upgraded. The shop opened. He bought every divine seed available, ate one on the spot, and felt the green light close the worst of his damage in seconds. He bought experience packs. He checked his skills. The reed crossing the river technique, pure speed, pure agility, was fully unlocked. He had 20 seconds at full power. He would make them count. Outside, Dao had the monarch wanderer bound with chains around one massive arm, straining against every link. Captain Li was fighting beside him, not out of loyalty, but because survival creates strange alliances. Li moved like a soldier, fast, precise. His saw sliced deep. The monster hit Li in the chest and sent him backward anyway. Wang Bin arrived from above. He leaped from the top of the van and hit the monarch wanderer in the side of the head with the full force of the mighty warrior's palm and maximum power. The creature staggered, actually staggered. The ground cracked where it caught itself. Wang Bin landed, grabbed Dao, pulled him clear of the chains, and told him to stay back. Dao looked at him. Wang Bin told the system to start the countdown. 20 seconds. He moved like something that should not be possible. The monarch wanderer could not track him. It swung. He was already behind it. He wrapped the chain around its neck, around its torso, binding it layer by layer, using its own momentum against it. 10 seconds. He was on its head. He hit it with everything remaining in his body. The green blood came first. Then the sound, a deep, broken roar that ran through the walls. Then silence. The system announced, time expired. Inner strength depleted. But the monarch wanderer was on the ground. Dao rushed forward. Wang Bin was sitting on the creature's head, clutching his eyes. The green blood had splashed directly into them. The burning was severe. Li told Dao to run. The virus was entering Wang Bin's system. In an hour, there might not be a Wang Bin anymore, just another wanderer. Dao did not move. He told Li he would rather be shot than abandon the person who had saved him. He meant it completely. Then Wang Bin spoke, calm, clear, recognizable. He said Dao was an extremely loyal person. Dao's entire posture changed, relief moving through him like a wave. He almost shouted. He called out that Wang Bin was back, that he was fine, that everything was okay. Wang Bin told him, quietly, that it was more complicated than that. The system had presented him with a choice while he was down. Option A, a serum that would remove the virus entirely. Back to human. No side effects. Walk away clean. Option B, become something in between. The virus activates. His physical power increases dramatically. He gains wanderer abilities, the ability to command them, to move through them unseen, to access their strength. But his rage value will grow with every fight. The more powerful he becomes, the harder he will be to control. The condition for option B, hunt every monarch wanderer in the world. The reward for completing it. Option A becomes available again. He could get his humanity back. But first, he had to become something less than human to protect everyone who needed him. He accepted. The transformation was not subtle. His skin hardened. His eyes changed color. The wanderers around the building went completely still, not afraid of him, but recognizing something. The shape of authority. The smell of a dominant creature. Li pointed his gun at him and said he had become a monster. Wang Bin said, everyone in that expedition was treated like livestock, sent to die for a short man's gold collection. That made Li and his men something worse than a monster. Li fired. The bullet touched Wang Bin's skin and simply fell. He took the gun from Li's hand before Li finished blinking. He told him he would not let him die that easily. There were things to answer for first. He ordered the two wanderers nearby to spread gunpowder across the monarch wanderer's body. Then he told Dao, the creature had once been a man, a boxing champion with a family and a life worth having. The apocalypse took all of it. The wanderers took his family first. Then what was left of him became this. Dao did not speak for a moment. He said, if not for his sister, he might have walked the same road. They burned the body together, so nothing else could feed on it. So the man inside it could finally stop. Li's voice called after them, asking to be taken along. Neither of them answered. Behind them, two ordinary wanderers reached Li before he could call out again. Back in Jin City, the situation for Guan Xiao and Miao had shifted. Jin already knew who they were. He had known since they walked through the gate. Miao had arrested him once. He had studied her face from inside a prison cell and promised he would find her again. He had been patient. Wang Bin and Dao arrived at the gate with a jeep full of gold bars and a convincing story about the expedition. The guards let them in. Inside, in a room that was too bright and smelled like expensive things, Jin sat between two guards and looked at Wang Bin with the satisfaction of someone who had been waiting for the punchline. He tied Wang Bin to a chair himself. Then he picked up a thick rope and explained, with genuine enthusiasm, that this was the part he enjoyed most. The rope came down hard across Wang Bin's chest. He did not need to pretend it hurt. In the corner, Miao was unconscious, bound, and alone. And Guan Xiao, wherever she was, did not yet know they were already captured. But a tank was about to change everything. The wall exploded inward. Concrete and plaster showered across the floor. The bodyguard spun toward the noise. Through the dust and smoke, a tank ground through the gap in the wall with Zhang tied to the outside, screaming for someone to please help him. Guan Xiao climbed down from the tank hatch. She was in the dancer outfit. She was carrying two guns. She looked furious. She had found the armory, the secondary arsenal, extracted Zhang's cooperation through a combination of intimidation and implied violence, located a functioning vehicle in the basement garage, and driven it through the wall because the door seemed too slow. This is the kind of person Guan Xiao is. Dao reached her first, explaining fast. Wang Bin was captured, Jin's men had them. They needed to move immediately. She was already moving. They cut through two guard rotations using the confusion from the tank entrance. The building's internal alarm was going. Wanderers were beginning to gather outside, drawn by the noise, and Jin's men were split between defending the perimeter and responding to the internal breach. Inside the bright room, Wang Bin heard the distant explosion. He knew exactly what it was. He almost smiled. Then Jin hit him again with the rope and told him to focus. Wang Bin had spent the last several minutes pretending to be in worse condition than he was. His rage value was climbing. Every hit fed it. The virus inside him was hardening his skin passively, damage reduction with every strike. Jin thought he was breaking a man. He was, without knowing it, charging a weapon. Wang Bin let him talk. Jin loved to talk about his business history, about how people always underestimated him, about how he had spent years in prison planning this exact kind of power. He was, in a very specific way, proud of what he had built here. A system so efficient it recycled everything, including the people. When the door burst open and Guan Xiao stepped through with Dao behind her and a gun in each hand, Jin's expression did a very entertaining thing. He had planned for everything. He had not planned for a girl who drove a tank through his wall. The fight inside the room was short and decisive. Wang Bin broke the chair bindings with one controlled surge of the Wanderer's strength, stood up, and looked at Jin. Jin's bodyguards reached for their weapons. Wang Bin crossed the room before either one could aim. 2 palm strikes. Both men hit the floor. Jin backed against the wall. He tried his rope again. Wang Bin caught it. Pulled. The rope went slack between them like Jin had suddenly forgotten how physics worked. Wang Bin told him. He had 18 men before Wang Bin. Jin was the 18th. He would make sure all 18 got proper accounting. Miao was freed, still groggy, steadied by Guan Zhao's hand. Dao zip-tied Jin to his own golden chair. The town fell apart once Jin's authority was removed. His bodyguards, realizing the chain of command had ended, either surrendered or scattered. The armory Guan Xiao had already mapped was opened fully, weapons distributed to anyone willing to fight. The greenhouse guards laid down their rifles within the hour. Wei, Jin's closest attendant, who had approached Miao earlier claiming she wanted an ally, turned out to be less loyal to Jin than she had appeared. She handed over the food storage keys without being asked, having already decided which side was winning. The residents of the town ate real food for the first time in months that evening. Not soup, not wanderer meat. Real food, rice, preserved vegetables, tinned goods from Wang Bin's system storage, spread across tables in the center of the settlement, while people sat in stunned silence, trying to remember what this felt like. Shi Jian sat beside Xiao Lu, Dao's sister, now recovered and full of questions, and told her very seriously that she had missed a lot. She asked how much. He said, tanks, zombie kings, a man who survived getting shot in the eyes with virus blood, and a dance outfit that caused several arguments. She said she needed to hear all of it. Cheng Ping smoked his cigarette with the contentment of a man who had earned it 3 times over. Xiao Bao sat next to him and told him smoking was bad for him. He agreed completely and took another drag. Miao stood at the edge of the settlement looking at the walls, strong, stable, enough to keep the wanderers out. She had spent years watching the world dissolve, order collapsing, every person she had tried to protect either leaving or dying. Wang Bin walked up beside her. She said she had forgotten what it felt like to win. He told her she was going to have to get used to it. That night, around a fire, Wang Bin told the group his next step. East, the coastline, an island, somewhere defensible, with clean water and room to grow food. He would bring seeds. He would bring animals. He would build something that did not depend on a system or a currency or one person's control to function. Shi Jian said he was ready. Xiao Bao said she was faster than him now. Shi Jian said that was a lie. Cheng Ping said his leg was getting better. Dao said his sister went where he went. Miao said if anyone was going to keep order in a settlement built by Wang Bin, it probably needed to be her. Guan Xiao said nothing. She leaned her head against Wang Bin's shoulder and looked at the fire. He looked down at her. He thought about how many times in his original world he had chased after someone who saw him as convenient. He thought about how little that world had prepared him for someone like her, someone who fought beside him, worried about him, left him warm water and notes on his bathtub. He put his arm around her. She smiled without looking up. The system chimed once, quietly. New upgrades available. More power within reach. The Monarch Wanderer quest was only beginning. There were others out there, stronger ones, in territories they had not yet mapped. His rage value was sitting at 11. He would need to watch that number. He closed the system window. Around him, Shi Jian was arm-wrestling Dao. Xiao Bao was pretending not to cheer for Dao. Cheng Ping was explaining to Xiao Lu why cola was a perfectly reasonable beverage for a recovering patient. Miao was drawing patrol routes in the dirt with a stick. Wangbin looked at all of them. He had gone into the apocalyptic world to get rich. He had ended up building a family instead. He was okay with that. The morning would bring a long road east, wanderers along every mile of it, and a world that still needed fixing. For now, this was enough. If this story hit different, like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. See you next time.